My Waec certificate is missing, lost, and cannot be found, Okowa tells INEC. The vice presidential candidate of the PDP, Ifeanyi Okowa, has reportedly informed INEC that his Waec certificate is missing. It was gathered that Okowa informed INEC about the missing certificate as part of his filings for eligibility in the race for the 2023 elections. He said in an affidavit to that effect that he enrolled and sat for Waec examinations in the year 1974. The original certificate issued can no more be found. However, he said in the affidavit, loss of the original certificate was obtained from the High Court of Justice, Delta State, in the Asaba Judicial Division on October 3rd, 2006. That I personally enrolled and sat for Waec, West African School Certificate examinations in the year 1974 at Edo College, Benin City, now Edo State. The Delta State governor was reported to have said in the affidavit, according to the Tribune, that I passed the said examination and was subsequently issued the certificate. Therefore, the original of the said certificate issued to me is now missing, lost, and cannot be found. That I make this oath for the records and do so knowing and believing the same to be true in accordance with the oath law of the Bendel State as applicable to Delta State, he said. All this is just damage control. I think now it may be a tactic to make it look like, you know what, before you guys find out, let me just tell you and look good. So that, because it seems like this is the whole no certificate trend going on. And again, I'd be a bit more opinionated. However, if in 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that Buhari did not need a Waec certificate. Listen, the bar, there's no standard. There's no point saying the bar is low. There is no standard. It's just nothing. So, in my personal opinion, I think this conversation is pretty much irrelevant. It doesn't need any result. So it's a thing where we just have to find other conversations to have. Again, if this on legal grounds determine or justify his disqualification from the race, okay, fine. It's a worthy conversation. But it's not. And apparently the law states, please go search for yourselves, it states that if you've attempted to get an education certificate, then that should be fine enough. I mean, if you also know you can speak English, you can communicate right, speak, read and write, all that. If you can do that and you at least attempted, not that you passed, if you attempted, then you're good to go. But if the Supreme Court can have a ruling for Buhari, I mean, come on. It's like, that's, for me personally, that's the ultimate argument you can put against this, because if it's not going to disqualify him from the race, then what's the point having the conversation, because we're wasting our time. So yeah, I think maybe other people will start coming out and saying, by the way, I don't know where my certificate is. And if they don't know where that certificate is, then what can you do? But, I'm sure he has a master's degree, even a PhD. So it will not count. We can override that, and the fact that he may have a university degree would override or supersede the fact that his certificate is missing. Because without the certificate, how do we prove you actually had the exams or did the exams? I guess we'll never know. But if anything, university should have these records, even if it's not the original. Should have a record of application that you applied and this is what you used to apply. Therefore, these are the grounds in which we admitted you to our university, and that's why you have your degree. If the universities can come out to do that, then fine. But for a country that is still with paper documentation heavily, yeah, I don't see that working. We are just so behind, and we are going to have to pay, or not even pay. We just have to work with where we are, and where we are is not the most efficient. So yeah, this is literally where Nigeria is. So we can't skip steps. We can't aim to be like top first world countries when we also haven't done the work. Again, as I said before, Nigeria is not the only country capable of corruption. We just need to grow up. We're not the only country that has had problems. We're not the most populous country in the world. So it's like, there are literally no excuses to why Nigeria cannot pull up its socks. So, we're behind in so many things, and in fact, our backwardness and retrogression is now solidified by the standard that we have for our leaders, and top one at that. So, what can you do? What can you do? Now, that is the question we need to ask ourselves. What can you do? Hope and pray. But we have a chance to change things. We've got Peter Obi, so do what you want with that information. Most of our leaders don't actually attend school, and that the country is waving. It's not even that. Even those that attended, that you say that are professors, they get there and they do anyhow. Again, we're not just saying that education is the only thing that you need. We are talking about credibility and loopholes in the system. That is where it is frustrating. How credible are you? And again, for us to know you're educated, it's not because you show us a certificate. It is from the way that you speak and the actions that you take. So if we get that impression from the way you speak and the way you carry yourself and the way you're able to, form your own thinking arguments, then fine. Because yes, Peter Obi can talk about how he got certificates from LSE, from Harvard, from Cambridge, from Oxford, from all these universities. But if the way he speaks and carries himself, if he doesn't represent that standard, then, I have listened to the man. I've listened to him. I've listened to the way he forms arguments. For the fact that he can travel to other countries and it's sad. It's very sad. So it's like, for you not to see that and say, okay, fine, this proves what is shown in his CV. It proves it, For you not to see that is crazy, And these ones that just have, they don't even have a Waec certificate. They want to argue why they're the best candidate. I mean, come on. It's not just that, but education does speak a lot about you. And from assessments, they're not really doing a good job, and it's pretty much shameful. So what do you think about Okowa coming out to say that he cannot find his own certificate? Do you think it's damage control because it was about a leak and come out? If anything, it gives those that are Peter Obi supporters more reason to discard them, because it's like, oh wow, so both these big parties, there's a running thing that they can't find their education certificates. Well, you make it easier for me to choose the option that I want anyway. So that's what it is. Put what you think about it in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.